Hello, 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 everyone. I'm your host of Hungry, and it is time for another episode of the podcast for creatives on the come up, by creatives on the come up. And I am happy to introduce to you today someone that plays multiple instruments. He just does a lot of things in this whole artistic world that we're living in. And his name is Noah. Nice to meet you.
Noah Carter, nice to meet you, man.
Yeah. So, can you give the audience a little bit more information on the instruments that you play, just so they can understand what you do and maybe feel a bit more connected?
I play, I play the guitar. I started on piano, but guitar is kind of the my main outlet, so to speak. I sing and I rap, so pretty much juggling those things takes up quite a bit of my life, but that's
Oh
okay.
yeah, I mean, learning one instrument is in itself can consume a person.
They bleed into each other, man.
Yeah, or matter of fact, I've always heard that guitar is easier to learn if you learn piano first. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, because a lot of the ways that we organize music is easier explained on a piano because you can see it; it's in front of you, right? Because
Instead
a
of
guitar is kind of like underneath you. You
yeah,
gotta go like that, but with a piano, it's very much in front of you, and you see all of the notes at one time, and at any one time you can hit them and not have too much of a difficulty reaching anywhere. But guitar, it just gets harder because you got to press these.
you gotta get them calluses and get your fingers
That
past that.
hurts. I'm not gonna lie. That's a huge obstacle at first that people usually quit because of. But
Yeah.
after that,
Or I
it's
notice if I learn all the instruments that you say. Like I primarily play the bass, but
awesome.
I do a little bit
Oh, you were
of
saying you
keys.
played the bass. Oh, okay.
So I play the bass. I do a little bit on the keys. I have guitars. I'm learning the guitar, but that's probably the one I'm the worst at. But every time I do it, I can tell if I don't practice, I lose the calluses and I'm losing the progress. I think it's something you got to keep up.
But you play the bass, so those calluses should never leave.
I mean, the bass is like easier and it's electric bass. It's like, and also like I be making like the bass lines that I make are the ones that are very simple and they just draw you back in.
The best kind.
I know, right?
That's
That's
the
why
best kind, yeah.
that's why I love the bass
Right,
because it
people-
felt so natural to do it.
People think that you go through a few phases when you're composing, and at first it's I'm gonna throw everything that I know how to do in this bass line or in this piano riff or in this guitar riff, and then you get a little wiser and you go actually
I should write with space.
space. The more simple, the better. Similarly to like when you're writing at first, your sentences when you're trying to write something complex might look like the astronomical, hypnological, right? But
Yeah,
then as
everyone
you
wants to weave in a bunch of rhymes like they're Eminem and rhyme the whole sentence.
later on, you learn that maybe it wasn't what you wanted to say. Maybe you could have said what you said a lot more simpler and a lot more easily understood. So
Honestly, so before we started the podcast, we were talking about the art of conversation. So just to give you a tip on the art of conversation
right.
is that people often think that in order to be understood, they need to talk more, but it's actually the opposite.
You trying to low key say I talk too much?
No, I mean I'm saying it's a common thing that people
I do, but it's
Common
okay.
thing that people do. They try to be they try to talk so much in an effort to be understood, but people just get lost in all the words that you say. If you actually want people to understand you, you should one slow down and lower your register in how you talk, and just only talk in about 10 word phrases. That's how many words the mind really processes at a time. So if you're trying to communicate, it's better to just say short phrases and ask more questions than to try and rant to get somebody to understand you.
Okay. All right, let me try. How long have you been podcasting?
Not long, about 2 months? I feel like our camera woman would know better, but probably about, I feel like we've been doing this for a few weeks now. It's been fun.
You're really good at it, man. I'm not saying that to gas you up, bro, but like I'm normally I feel like I'm a very awkward kind of person. I feel very mad comfortable right now.
But it feels natural.
It does.
That's what I like about the Hungry podcast. Like no matter who sits in these chairs, like we always just have a very like soulful time, and I love that.
Soulful. I like that. That has to be put that in your brand keywords.
Yeah.
I mean, search up soulful, you look at podcast, the Hungry podcast comes up. You mean
All right, there you get
SEO.
The knowledge flows both ways. Knowledge flows both ways.
Absolutely.
But one of the podcast questions, that I have to ask is, what is one struggle that you faced along your creative journey, and how did you overcome it?
Man, I just got finished writing a journal entry about this because I do that before I start my sessions. Because a lot of the times, the things that you write in your journal, you could just make songs, but the things that's on top of your mind, a lot of times make great songs. So it's always great, in my opinion, to start out with a little bit of journaling, especially if you feel stuck. And to answer your question, one of the things I felt stuck was I felt like I was struggling with authenticity. Because on the low, I've been cultivating my audience really before I had music. Because I was doing a lot of session musician stuff. I was playing for a lot of people and getting people's ads and all this. And hey, man, when you drop, send it to me. And so there's this urge to please those people. Because I'm already so grateful that they've taken some stock. They said, hey, I would want to listen to that. And to me, that's one of the biggest compliments in the world. But I'm learning that needs to come second. And what needs to come first is the authentic, really how you felt, not what you felt like the dudes on the block wanted to hear, not what you felt the girls in the club wanted to hear, not that, but really how you were feeling and how you're reacting to the situation, really your story. And so the more I peel back those layers and accept things for what they are, because again, I'm in my phones. I'm listening to what I feel like are the greatest artists to get that. Hopefully, some of that rubs off on me. I'm listening to the old Wayne tapes. I'm listening to Childish Gambino. Listening to
Childish Gambino could low key. Well, the thing is, I feel like in the GOAT like conversations, people don't bring up Childish Gambino, but that dude is talented.
People sleep on him.
People sleep on Childish Gambino so much.
They'll get it in another 5 years.
Like for real. Like even like his older, like his songs are, that man thinks different. Like he thinks differently. Did you see the interview that 21 Savage said when they came out after it was like 1438, I think, with Childish Gambino and 21 Savage. Basically 21 Savage said he just went over to Donald's house and they were just like chilling, talking. And then Childish Gambino was just like making the music during their conversation. And then he would just stop and be like, hey, say this. And then he would go record this lyric. And then they would continue the conversation. He'd be like, all right, cool, say this. And then that's how they built the song.
Those are the best sessions. That sounds like an organic session.
Yeah.
That's what I think every artist is after. A lot of people think that it's a situation where we need 20 people in the studio, and 10 of them are on keyboards, and 5 of them are on mixing boards, and then another 5 are writing different verses, and it's this coordinated thing. I think a lot of the best, most organic and authentic music comes from situations like that, because ultimately, that's what you're doing. You're sitting there. You want the same vibe as it is if it's just you and your friends sitting there making a mixtape in your high school keyboard lab, and none of you are millionaires. None of you have reputations. For
exactly. It has that pureness and that relatability to it.
Absolutely. My fault.
I mean, hey, look, we're flowing. We're flowing. So the next question is, what is some advice that you would give to your younger self?
Man, accept yourself, love yourself. Fitting in is overrated.
Oh yeah. Why? Who said anyone was meant to fit in?
You want to. Bad.
I know.
Bad. Desperately. I think.
Well, like, humans are social creatures. Like, we don't, like, the reason why when COVID hit and everyone went into quarantine and half y'all motherfuckers lost your mind, like, is because people don't do well in solitude. Like, solitary confinement is a punishment for a reason.
That was a unique situation. That was solitude, but that was also when a lot of the curtains got snatched away on how the world was working, because all these people that did everything quote unquote right, they lost their jobs. They were some people lost their homes. So that's when, and we noticed how all of these big businesses were moving and how they were getting bailed out and their taxes and their expenses were getting shown, and literally all of this ugliness is getting exposed, and none of the world, how they said it was supposed to worked like it.
People started to realize that, like, well, I learned this, and someone told me this when I was like 18, and it really hit me. It really hit me later on, is that perception is reality.
Yes.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately. And that also opens up the door to have, that's why there's multiple versions of reality, and that's why it's hard for people to get along. It's because perception is reality. So everyone's doing things based off the reference points. So if your reference points are different, then your view of the world can easily be different.
Perception is reality, where perception is a currency.
Yeah.
In real life, right? If you walk around and you're an a-hole to everybody, there's going to be real life repercussions. On the internet, not so much.
Yeah.
The internet, it's really weird. If it looks like you have
a large enough following, you can be an asshole.
Absolutely. You look like you got a Rolls Royce in the picture.
If you look like you got it going on, and you can afford to piss people off, then they can do that on the internet.
Absolutely. In real life, and that's where I see a lot of creatives getting lost in the sauce, because they're wondering why they have twice as many followers as they do following, but their venues are empty.
Yeah.
They're wondering why they're throwing events and nobody's sliding through, and it's because, dude, your person-to-person impact is low. You're not connecting with people.
Yeah.
You're standing on top of them instead of
working with them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I don't really stress about like followers or trying to get views, because I would rather make art that I'm proud of and actually have an audience that knows me, that they see my face and they actually like me and they actually respect what I do and how I show up every day, than to have 1 million or whatever followers, whatever the number is. Like, I feel like it'd be better just to have like more intimate connections with people,
Likewise.
Yeah. So our last question of the podcast is, what is the worst struggle meal that you've ever had, or what is the grossest thing that you've ever eaten?
Struggle meal.
Man, it's called Hungry for a reason.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I got a few of those. I probably need to make a small list. So I wouldn't even call it a struggle meal. I've recently started dieting, so I've been trying to change what I got going on. I'm trying to get unthig.
Trying to take this 6-pack out the fridge. Every summer.
Absolutely. Right. The warm season is on its way. So for $5, you can go to Wawa and get a chicken Caesar wrap.
Yeah. I'm big on like the rotisserie chicken wraps at Wawa.
$5. And they fill you up too. They're not bad, but that's not really a struggle meal. That's kind of nice. If I would have to call out a struggle meal, something that, like, if I'm eating it and I know that my pockets are tight, I'd probably say raisins, dude. I'll eat a lot of raisins.
Yeah, I feel like we can count that as a struggle meal, because I don't really know a lot of people that actually like raisins. Like, they get thrown in cereal, but like, yeah, exactly. They're like, they're grapes that you give to like little kids, bro. Like,
it's true. Yes, but they're delicious to me.
Have you ever since you're dieting, a tip that I have gotten, because I've actually lost 40 pounds. Nice. I used to be obese, and now I'm actually like pretty built.
Awesome.
But like, one of the tips is if you ever want like a sugary snack like late night, instead of eating grapes raw, because you can just like go through them naturally, freeze them and then eat them like a dessert.
Oh, wow. Question: are grapes bad for weight loss? Because
well, okay, here's the thing. In order to lose weight, you need to be in a caloric deficit. You need to burn more calories than you consume. Grapes are carbs. So depending on what you're eating throughout the day, you can easily go over by eating grapes because they are carbs. A very like low carb fruit is like strawberries. So that's a good one. Again, like eating it frozen is also, it takes longer. So if you're a person that like just needs that oral fixation of like putting something in your mouth, if you freeze the fruit and it takes you longer to eat because it has to thaw out in your mouth, you'll be fuller sooner because your brain also has a timer. Like you don't realize you're full until 10 minutes after your stomach has already been at full capacity. That's why people overeat a lot. And that's why people realize that they're like stuffed and like overflowing with food, because the timer in your brain doesn't really tell you that you're full until after it's already reached capacity.
Wow. Thank you for that. What about pineapples?
I like pineapples.
Are pineapples carbs though?
Oh yeah, 100%. See, the thing is, I'm a very like kind of OCD person. So when I'm like serious about my fitness and serious about my health, I will literally track my food. I will make a plan for myself, and I'll say, okay, I'm gonna have this much chicken, this much rice, these foods, and make sure that I get everything. Because it's honestly very easy to not get your micronutrients, to not get your fruits and vegetables. Like, especially like if you live in the city, oh my gosh, there's like barely grocery stores around here, let alone you want to do that. But thank you for being on this podcast. I want to say that.
Thank you. This is my first podcast ever, so
yeah. So this has been great. This has been another episode of Hungry, the podcast for creatives on the come up, by creatives on the come up. And we are so happy that you came here today and gave us your ears. And we hope that you take a lesson from this and, apply it to your life. And most importantly, we hope that you have a great day. Peace out, everyone.